more unpleasant elements, but I am in no doubt that whatever you choose to do from here on in, you will make a success of it." By now Novella was crying. She felt immensely sad at leaving the school. It had provided her with a place of retreat after her father had died, as well as invaluable companionship. Wiping her eyes, Novella left Mrs. Palmer's office. As she retraced her steps along those corridors, she could scarcely believe that so soon she would be leaving them behind forever. Back in her room, she sat down at her desk and wrote a letter to her mother, informing her that she would be leaving Chelford School just before noon, and expected that she would arrive at Crownley Hall late that evening. She wrote, "Dearest Mamma, please be sure to ask Wargrave to have the carriage meet me at the station. I cannot wait to see you all again. I have missed my horse Salamander more than I can say, and the first thing I shall do upon my return, after kissing you, is to visit him." "I do hope that Sally is still at the Hall," thought Novella, as she began to pack her belongings, "and Harry and Gerald." She thought of all the other staff at Crownley Hall, who had served her since she was small. Sally was her personal maid, and although Novella had been too young for a lady's maid as such, she viewed Sally as being as good as one. She often gave Sally little presents of clothes that she had outgrown or no longer wanted. "I shall miss everyone so much, but the time has come for me to go out into the world. Mrs. Palmer is right. I am young, and should not be spending my days locked up in a girls' school." Novella was thinking of love and marriage. Although she had not been in the least bit interested in either since her father had died, she was aware that time was marching on, and it would be to her that the family would look to when it came to supplying an heir. At 20, Novella did not realize just how beautiful she had grown. Nor did she see the admiring look she garnered from young men when she walked with her pupils through the town. "I do hope that Mamma is well," sighed Novella, taking the photograph of her down from her chest of drawers. "She did not write to me about her health or her well-being, which is most strange, seeing as Mamma is obsessed with both." She smiled to herself at the recollection of her mother, calling for the smelling salts at the slightest excuse. She was what her father had described as being delicate, so Novella was pleased that she had inherited his constitution rather than hers. The Earl had been a strong and handsome man, who even in his last years appeared much younger than he actually was, which is why it had been such a shock when he had fallen down dead after a day's hunting. He was never off a horse, and he had brought Novella up in much the same fashion. "I cannot wait to see Salamander," said Novella to herself once more. "It has been so long since I last rode him. I do hope that those stable boys have been taking him out for regular gallops. He gets so cross when he's just left in the fields or the stables. Yes, as much as I long to see Mamma, I equally long to see my beloved Salamander." All too soon the next morning dawned. There had been many tears when she had announced in art class that she would be leaving the day after, and she had been deeply touched by her pupils' reaction. The last assembly was an emotional affair, and many of the girls were openly weeping. They presented Novella with a bunch of flowers and an amber pendant. A small group of girls was given permission to skip lessons and accompany Novella to the station. She could not have wished for a better send-off. As the train pulled out of Chelford Station, she waved her handkerchief, blinded with tears and smoke from the train's engine, until the platform was out of sight. Settling down in her first-class carriage, Novella soon drifted into a reverie, recalling everything that had occurred over the past few years. She had been a very good student, with the possibility of art school ahead of her, when that awful day came when Mrs. Palmer had called her into her study to inform her that her beloved papa had died. Even though Novella was just months away from completing her education, she threw aside all notions of going to art school in Paris, and was about to pack up and return to Crownley Hall in Surrey, when her mother had written to her, saying that it was best if she stayed put. "To think I believed that the world had come to an end," Novella told herself, as she looked out of the window at the passing fields. "How young and silly I was." When Mrs. Palmer had suggested that Novella might like to stay on as a tutor at Chelford School, teaching the girls art and needlework, she had jumped at the chance. Dedicating herself to the girls made her forget her heartache. "And now I am on my way back home," she thought, more than a little excited. "But I wonder what I will do."